Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It's me. I'm just broadcasting live from my office here in Bendigo. I'd also too like to acknowledge the original people, first people of this land, the Jaja Barong, and acknowledge their elders past
In
and
Bendigo.
present. I'd also too like to acknowledge the original people, first people. Oops, sorry about that. I just had my YouTube channel linked up here as well, so I was just seeing if everything worked. Well, I'm happy that all worked. But just to continue, I'd also acknowledge that their struggle was originally a struggle against invasion and the anti-colonial struggle, and now it's actually much part of a broader struggle against imperialism. I just certainly have a quiet little chat. I've got some little time today, and I just thought, well, it would be a great time to catch up, touch base with everyone. Well, first of all, some of you may be aware, but I want to make sure everyone is aware that our new think tank group is up and running. Australians for a New Democracy. We do have a website. I would actually recommend just type in our motto of life, sovereignty, and peace, and that will take you to the website. There, it is also on Facebook page as well, and plus we've started up a YouTube channel as well, Australians for a New Democracy. Things early days yet. We've got to be careful not to bite off more than we can chew at the moment. Obviously, the general discussion would be, what we always will be doing and what we're putting forth. But obviously, it was set up in it was set up because it was inspired by the Center of Political Innovation in the US, and obviously we wanted to form something very similar for Australia, and we also wanted to make sure it's something very homogeneous for our own country as well. And obviously, our material conditions do change considerably, and they're actually certainly different from what they are in the US at times, and also in the UK as well. So obviously, we're still finding our way and developing it further. But it is up and running. We've did our first live actually on the 26th of January. It is a controversial date, but we thought it was quite quite relevant for that day, what we had to, and especially what we had to talk about moving forward. And so I recommend just type that into YouTube. I will actually put it in the descriptions below when we upload this video, make it easier for you to go straight to that channel. Mind you, the video is also on my channel as well, but I'm trying to promote Australians for a New Democracy. And so next week as well, we will be doing our second live We Are the Builders Australia. We're studying Miles' works on a New Democracy. Very interesting. We will be up on chapter 7 on Led to Believe. I think I'm correct on there as well. So what I'll do is, tune in. It will be at 7 o'clock Australian Eastern Daylight Time. That'll be 6 o'clock in Queensland. And obviously 4 o'clock. And I do apologise to our Western Australian counterparts, but it is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that's where it's at, but it will be there. It'll be live on my YouTube channel. And if you wish to actually join in, be part of it, and just keep in mind it is a live stream, so it's going all the way in the world. Uh, Take into account it's part of it, and we are studying Miles' work on a New Democracy. You could actually go to one of the Marxist.org site and can download that piece of work as well, which is an excellent read, brilliant read. Well, let's see what's been going on the last couple of weeks. We've obviously it's the situation. Politically, it's really. We're seeing what the federal government is in a disarray at the moment. They're obviously infighting, but let's just say too, for example, we won't just take it for granted they'll lose the next election as well. They could try. They're going to pull out every trick in the book to stay in power. But I think actually, obviously, too, it's a good time to actually start engaging ordinary people again into politics as well, one way or the other. I'm not asking them to vote Labor or any other thing. It's not promoting at any political party, but it's a way to engage with people and what are the issues of the day. We've certainly had all the issues that have all come out of the COVID lockdowns. The COVID pandemic era, such as the lockdowns, the mandates. You name it. Certainly, that's what's come out of it, and certainly still is strong today. And there was the other day there was a convergence on Canberra, and obviously on the National Library as well. Now, I'm not going to comment on that at the moment, but I just want to just give you an example of what was going on there. Also, too, we've got to be looking at what's happening to us economically here in Australia, which is going to be huge out of all this. And it's not just COVID that caused it, but it's the whole economic system we live under, where profits are in command. We'll have a look at. We've got issues with inflation. We've got issues with our health sector. Obviously, COVID certainly exposed that. That includes aged care as well. And I think we have to actually take the property question to all these questions. And what I mean by the property question is this: why is, for example, okay, let's look at aged care. Why is it all under private ownership? Why is it under public ownership, where we can generally take care of our elderly a lot more? I mean, I'm hearing all, when you look at the news and hearing all sorts of stuff all over how the neglect of aged care patients, they can't get vaccines in time, and staff are sick. You name it. There's always a consistent amount of problems, and you have to ask yourself, well, why? And what is the underlying cause of this? It's the private profit system that we live under. It is the drive for profit, not for the well-being of those patients. It's actually taking everyone down that path. Now, the question is, well, then the next question is, why can't we have it back under public ownership where it should be? And this is actually a fundamental question I think should be coming for a whole complete health system. Why are we actually even subsidising the private sector where it should be all under public? Yes, my audio is much better, Dust. I have a little earpiece. I hope that does work a lot better. Mind you, I'm in my office here at the moment. It's all been fixed up, and it's a lot quieter in here as well. But I think it's a basic. Yeah, I took your advice. I grabbed one of these little earpieces. We'll see how that works. I'm back on, but I think we do need to bring that question, the property question, to our health as well. There is a class struggle in health. There is a class struggle in medicine, which is all connected. And we do need to bring the property question to it. And why is it all in private hands, or most of it? For us in Australia, whatever is public, it's only barely covered by a certain amount of taxpayers' money, where most of the taxpayers' money has been subsidising the private sector. Go figure that. Why do we have private health insurance in the first place? We don't need it. Certainly never wanted it. Why can't we all under public? So that's something I think we should at least try that angle, talking to everyone, because at the moment a lot of people are still divided over the vaccines, over the mandates. Look, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. Not everyone supported mandates, but not everyone was anti-mandate either. So it was we need to bring that all back together and say, no, we've got to bring the property question to the whole situation, and that's what it does. And actually, Karl Marx wrote it in the manifesto. Wherever we see there is a current threat to the status quo, we need to bring it to, and even where there is some sort of struggle against the status quo, we need to bring the property question, to the masses. So this is where something we should have a look at. Obviously, in Australia here, it's different from America. We do have Medicare. We do have some basic public health cover as well. We do have bulk billing, etc., etc. However, we've still got our own problems, which we do need to deal with. And I think having to rely on the next federal election, hope to have a change of government, is not the way to go about it. We need to take the issues back in our own hands and put a good working class position on the way forward. We want a fully comprehensive public health system. Do away with the private sector, do away with the private health insurance, etc., etc. It all comes under public control, and that includes the manufacture of medicines and vaccines as well. It should never be put into the private hands of whatever. And that way too, if it is under public control and ownership, it can be actually probably scrutinised and supervised a lot more. There is no hidden agenda. It can be quite open for everybody. Instead of having everyone's backs up and suspicions being fired up, they can actually manage genuine open dialogue with the public and a good education system to explain how these work. Because I think one thing, a lot of people that were vaccine hesitant, if it was a vaccine that was publicly owned, manufactured here in Australia, completely open, etc., 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 the fact is, at the end of the day, I think there would have been a lot less hesitant about this as well. Because Pfizer certainly didn't help the situation where they wanted to actually not release any information for many years to whatever effects this vaccine had on anyone. And mind you, too, all the point, why couldn't we have access to the Chinese the Cuban or the Russian vaccines as well. And I'm led to believe, actually, Caleb Morton mentioned, a friend of his in New York, has been fully vaccinated using the Sputnik vaccine, and which is a really good vaccine. Um, he's been fully vaccinated. He's actually been triple jabbed. I think, not led to believe, but he's still not able to access any public venues or restaurants because they will not recognise his vaccination. No, and this is the other thing we should look at as well. Well, if someone has been fully vaccinated using any of those others, or they should be also recognised as well that they're fully vaccinated. So, yeah, the whole thing is a complete schmozzle here in Australia at the moment. Is the whole situation, how COVID was handled, how everything else has been handled, has been a complete disaster. Let's face it, maybe not on a grand scale compared to everywhere else, but this situation that happened with Omicron over Christmas and New Year period was absolutely a disaster. And it could have been handled a lot better. It could have been handled in such a way that everyone's guaranteed safe, everyone's guaranteed economically secure as well, and without any having to worry about having to foreclose on their homes, foreclose or lose their jobs, etc., etc. They could have been handled a lot better and easily targeted as well. But unfortunately, as Tim, we live under a system of profits in command. And the whole neoliberal free market, let's open everything up and let it rip every man or every person for himself to be correct. It just comes to show. This comes to show you hasn't worked. It's been a disaster. So that's something I just wanted to throw out there with everyone. So I was a little bit ad hoc everything. When I actually put my YouTube and Facebook on, I can hear the double rub. So I was a little bit thrown out there, but that's okay. So I just wanted to throw that there as well. Also, too, I just want to shout out to Dust. Hey, Dust. I hope you're well. It was a great live you did with Caleb yesterday. I highly recommend going and watch that video. It was about the truckers, the truckers rally in Canada. I think it's a very good insight and an excellent angle of how to approach these things as well. Instead of just wiping it off completely, it's just the far right organising something. No, it's not. And I think if we're going to have a talk about this in the future, look at these things in the future. Well, the only reason why the far right's in there at the moment is because the communist movement or left has just vacated it. Completely, and never came up with a solution for anything. In fact, they just saw that and they automatically got their backs up. And this is a very big problem we've also got here in Australia as well. We need to get to the masses. We need to talk to them about the property question, and that's for us here in Australia is a very vital, important question because we are dictated to by the likes of the big multinationals. They're the ones who dictate policy, not us. Whether we like it or not, they're the ones who dictate policy. We know they talk, and they're using some of our language now too. They're using talk about the elites and global elite. Well, we should be claiming that language back anyway. We know what that is. That's international finance, and exactly the oil bankers, etc. We all know that. It's blatantly obvious, and we shouldn't be afraid to use that language either, because that's what it is. If it swims like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck. So let's call it a duck. Let's not try and give it any other name as well. So going back to what I was saying, I would highly recommend watching that. It was very insightful, very interesting, and it's something that we need to pick up ourselves here, and everyone pick up their game. I didn't want to leave it too long today. I'm actually just waiting for a call to come through, pick up my partner. But look, at the end of the day, it's just going back on what I was saying, what's been happening so far. This is a great time now for us here in Australia to engage with everyone. But I'm fortunate in my position as an organiser, I talk to workers anyway, either individually or as a collective, and engage with them in one way or the other. So, and I'm hearing all sorts of views and differences of opinions about everything. It's not just like not COVID; it could be anything else. And I think it's a good way to engage with them and then put the property question to them as well. But there's others that might not be in that position. But if you happen to be in a very similar position or somewhere else, it doesn't take much. I would highly recommend find out where the struggle's at. Go to a local community meeting, go to a council meeting, etc. Find out what's going on and engage with ordinary people. You'd be surprised, not everyone's going to agree with you straight away. Some people raise their eyebrows and maybe even think twice. But you'd be surprised there's a lot in common, and we can work from there as well. But just remember, bring the question, take to it the property question. I'm going to leave it at that today. I just wanted to run this through. And also, it was a little experiment thing. I was just trying this new little earpiece microphone, and as Dust has just said, the audio is much better. We will be back again next weekend. We will be doing fortnightly programs for Working Class Revolt. Dust is working out flat chat busy at the moment, up to 60 hours a week. I'm sure he's pretty tired by Friday night and needs his time on the weekend, and also to freeze him up to allow him to do a few more things as well. And likewise, I do some long days as well. I do up to 12-hour days at times, and yeah, I completely understand it. So, from my perspective, even too, working when I was working as a boilermaker, but even as an organiser here, long days. That the hours and that tiredness, it's in. You need your rest, but you also need times you need your own little recreation as well, and spend some time with family and friends as well, and obviously do a few things. So, but we are back again next weekend. For us, Sunday, that will be 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time. Then we will be back then further with Working Class Revolt. I believe it will be an interview session. I'm not correct, Dust, but I'll follow that up with you during the week anyway. I think we were going to talk about doing an interview, but we'll go from there anyway. But that's something where it's at. I'm going to try and do a lot more formal lives as well whenever I possibly can. I am busy myself. Obviously, I like to do these things a lot more frequently. However, I'm doing long days and I'm out the road a lot, so it's not just like I can just stop and suddenly do everything. All right. Well, look, I'm going to just leave it at that today. Sorry, it was just a general chat. And it wasn't anything particularly formal today. I'm glad I threw that out there about the property question. Right out there, and look, we're looking forward to you. And just remember, just a reminder, said we got the We Are Builders Australia study group live on Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time, and I'll be back live with Dust next Sunday, at 12 p.m. next Sunday. That'll be I believe to be the 13th. At 12 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time on Working Class Revolt. So thank you for your time. Appreciate it. Take care of yourself and keep up the good fight. Over and out.